Back on the Federal Drive with Tom Temin on Federal News Radio, part of the Federal News Network. Tom Temin is away. I'm Jared Serbu filling in. Lots of people put a neatly tied ending to their federal careers by retiring on December 31st. Next New Year's Day is a Monday, so you could wake up and have a mimosa, but in the next several weeks, you've got some serious financial planning to do. Details now on that from a happy federal retiree, Abe Grungold, the owner of AG Financial Services. He spoke with Tom Temin.
And Abe, I guess let's start with, is December 31st one of those popular dates?
Yes, Tom, December 31st is a popular date to retire because you can start the new year in a new tax profile as a retiree. It also helps you with the annual leave that you will receive at the end of the year. And December 31st is an important day because it usually is the last day of a pay period in the year in which you can retire. And that's important to sort of go out in a new pay period so you don't have to have a lag in receiving that first retirement check that you will not receive until February 1st.
Right, assuming OPM can figure it out by February 1st, because sometimes it takes a little longer than that too, doesn't it?
The final payment would come sometime later, but your interim payment would start February 1st, which is 70% of what you are estimated to get for an annuity.
It's funny that they don't start figuring it out 3 months before you retire, and then they're ready to go when you do retire. Hey, I think I just solved their problem.
Tom, there is an excellent reason for that, because your retirement does not begin until you have officially left your agency. You have to officially walk out the door. And that's when your retirement application is sent to OPM from your agency. Now, as a federal employee, let's say you have some reservations about retiring. You have until 4 o'clock on December 31st to change your mind. So there are people that do that.
Got it. Well, when I have reservations on retiring, they'll be for a very good steakhouse, I think. Presuming you've gone through the course and you've made your Medicare, all that jazz you have to select for yourself. But it's not done yet, though, is it? You've got some work to do.
Well, Tom, you spend 20 to 30 years in a federal career. You should spend 2 months on preparing your federal retirement application, which is 14 pages long. You should not rush through it. You need to answer every question, and you need to gather all the information that's necessary to fill out that document. And it's so important to review something called the EOPF, your official personnel folder that contains every document for your entire federal career. It's important to review all of it.
What is the state of those documents these days? Because if you started a long time ago, stuff might have been on paper. And is it a combination of electronic and paper?
Well, some agencies still have the hard copy folder, and a lot of agencies have transferred that hard copy folder into an electronic PDF that if your agency has some sort of a sophisticated HR system, you can download your EOPF and to a PDF, and it should be in chronological form from the first day that you applied with your application with the government to the present. And it should really be in chronological form. Now, some agencies may still have the old hard copy, and you should be able to get access to it if necessary.
Just to be clear, the EOPF is not a form, but you need that information for the form.
The EOPF is all the forms that you have filled out during your federal career: health insurance, life insurance, the actual form itself. It's kept in a folder, and that's what's called your personnel folder.
And so that's the information you need for the SF 3107 then.
Yeah, the SF 3107 is the actual application to retire. And if you need to go back historically, the EOPF has that information. But historically, really what you need are all the dates of service for every agency that you have worked for, part-time or full-time, during your federal career.
We're speaking with Abe Grungold. He is a federal retired manager himself and also owner of AG Financial Services. So if you are starting out in your career and you plan to be around a while, I guess maybe good advice is to make your own copies of everything that's going into that EOPF, just in case you would have a backup copy of your own.
Certainly, I kept many, many copies of documents that I had filled out during my 36 years in the government. But the best way is to download that EOPF. And I think mine was somewhere around 250 pages of documents that I had filled out in 36 years. And you can go through it. It's really kind of reminiscing through your federal career to go back through those early records, but it will have everything in there, and it will help you to fill out your federal retirement application.
Now, that's one step, and the most important step is filling out that SF 3107. And at only 14 pages, it's kind of a piker compared to some of the SF forms, but nevertheless, you got to get the details right. But that's not the only thing you do. What's a good policy for timing of notifying your agency, notifying the government that you would like to retire?
Well, I have seen people notify their agency one day and retire at the end of the day, and they still were able to fill out their 14-page application. But the really best way to do it is several months ahead of time, because you need to fill out the form. You need to contact your HR department to schedule an appointment. They need to go over it with you. And it's sort of a back and forth to make sure that you have filled out every question correctly. And every person is different. And a lot of the questions depends on certain choices that you make. And those choices can have an effect on you, which could be hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars, depending on the decision that you make. So it is important to go over each and every question on that form.
Yes, if you're calculating, say, your high threes or planning on your high salaries, that could affect your timing too. Wouldn't you want a full year of getting that high salary?
Yes, you definitely want your high three calculated, but what's more important is to calculate every time period that you were working for the government, because that's an important part of the formula. So let's say you have figured out that you have 30 years of federal service, but then let's say you worked 1 year in the Peace Corps, or you worked for a judge in law school, and you have forgotten those time periods. Those time periods, if you document them on your federal retirement application, it will increase the value of your annuity.
And with respect to having OPM calculate your final annuity, are there common or make sure you avoid types of errors that you can make on that form that could get it hung up in OPM?
Yes, certainly if you have any gaps in your federal career. So let's say you worked for 7 years, you left for a year, and then you came back. They may follow up with you to verify that that actually happened. And another big problem that holds the final payment from OPM is if you have experienced a divorce. And if you have a divorce, you need to have all your paperwork attached to your federal retirement application, because you will be owed something possibly to your ex-spouse, and OPM makes sure that those payments are sent to the ex-spouse. So yes, you have to have those documents in those attachments.
And earlier you said there is that phenomenon of some people deciding as the date approaches, they get cold feet, and so they postpone. And what happens if you change your mind?
Yes. So let's take the